All right, dog lovers, get ready. Because today, we are diving deep into one of the trickiest commands out there, the come command. We've got a fantastic article here all about how to teach your dog to come no matter what's going on. I mean, that's got to be like a superpower, right? Seriously, who hasn't been at the park, called their dog, and gotten completely ignored?
Oh yeah, it's like they suddenly go deaf the second they spot something more interesting.
Exactly. So this article jumps right into the biggest problem, something they call poisoned cues. Sounds kind of intense.
It does.
But it's actually based on some pretty simple learning science.
Yeah, like imagine your dog is playing fetch, having a great time, you call come, but at the same time you're grabbing their collar to leash them up because it's time to go. From the dog's point of view, come now means playtime's over, and that is not a good thing.
Oh, so it's not just about avoiding like obvious punishments, it's those little associations too. Like even if you're happy to see your dog, if every time they come you put their leash on, they might start rethinking things.
For sure. It's like that classic experiment with Pavlov's dogs. Your dog is connecting the word come with something they don't like.
So we're accidentally teaching them that come means bummer time without realizing it.
Right.
Like, do we just never leash them again?
Well, taking your dog for walks is probably still a good idea. This article has a pretty smart solution. They say to start using a totally new cue, touch.
Oh, a fresh start. I like that. Tell me more.
So with touch, your dog has to actually touch your hand. It's a much clearer action for them than just hearing a word, especially a word that's already got some bad vibes attached to it.
Yeah, come can mean so many different things, but touch is very specific. All right, so we're replacing come with touch. What's next?
We need to make touch the best choice ever. And we do that with super high value rewards. The best treats, the stuff your dog goes crazy for.
Okay, so we're talking like gourmet cheese, not those boring old biscuits. This is like their paycheck for a job well done.
Exactly. You wouldn't pay someone $1,000 just for sending an email, but you might for a really tough job.
That makes sense. But what about when you're at the park? And there are a million distractions. How do you compete with a squirrel that's like the most exciting thing ever?
That's where the gradual training comes in. You can't expect your dog to master touch in a crazy environment right away. It'd be like trying to learn a new dance move in the middle of a mosh pit.
Yeah, that's not going to end well.
Exactly. You got to start in a calm place, no distractions, like a quiet room in your house. Have your dog right in front of you, say touch, and when they touch your hand, bam, give them that amazing treat.
All right, so we're setting them up for success. Small wins, big rewards.
Exactly. Once they've got that down, you can start making it a little harder, take a few steps back, try it from a different room, maybe even toss a toy on the floor as a little distraction.
So building their confidence and their love for touch. But what about those times when your dog just seems to completely ignore you? Like they know the command, they love the treats, but they're just laser focused on something else. What do you do then?
That's when knowing what your dog really values comes into play. It's not always about finding the biggest reward, but the right one.
Oh, so this is where knowing your dog really pays off. Some dogs are all about food, others go wild for a specific toy, and some just want a good ear scratch.
You got it. It's about figuring out what really gets your dog going. And that brings us to another really important part of recall training, being mindful.
So we're not just training our dogs, we're training ourselves to be better trainers.
Exactly. We have to remember that dogs see the world differently than we do. What might seem harmless to us could be creating a negative association for them, and we might not even realize it.
It's like we need to see things from their point of view.
Right? Like some dogs might be hesitant to touch if you're holding a treat in your other hand. They might think you're holding out on them.
That's so interesting. Like they're reading our minds even when we don't realize it. It makes you realize how much we could be messing up our own training without even knowing it.
Yeah, totally. And here's another thing people struggle with. They do great with training at home, but then when they try it out in the real world, it all falls apart.
Yes, my dog forgets everything he's learned the second we get to the park.
That's why you got to increase the distractions slowly. You can't go from 0 to 100 overnight. You have to add distractions in one at a time. And always make sure touch is still the best option.
So it's like building a strong base before you add all the fancy stuff on top.
Exactly. And that's where a lot of people get frustrated. They think their dog should be a pro after just a few sessions in the living room. But it takes time, patience, and consistency to really make that touch touch cue solid.
And I think that's where mindfulness comes in again, right? We got to be patient with our dogs and with ourselves as trainers. We're both learning together.
Exactly. And I think that's something people forget a lot in dog training, how important it is to build a good relationship with your dog. It's not just about them obeying you. It's about building trust and understanding each other.
It makes you wonder what other little things we're missing. What might our dogs see as negative that we don't even notice?
It's definitely something to think about. The more we pay attention to those little cues, the better we can communicate with our dogs. It's all about finding that balance where training is fun and rewarding for both of you.
So we've talked about a lot. Poison cues, the power of touch, taking things slow, high-value rewards, and mindfulness. It's like a whole new way to think about dog training. It's not just about the commands, it's about understanding your dog's point of view and what makes them tick.
And that's what makes this approach so effective. It's not about forcing your dog to do what you want, it's about giving them the power to make good choices and rewarding them for it.
It's about making coming when called the best choice, even when there are tons of distractions.
Right. And by being mindful of what we're doing and how it affects our dogs, we can make training a much more positive experience for everyone.
It's like we're learning to speak their language, understanding their motivations, and building a stronger connection through positive interactions.
And that's what makes dog training so rewarding. It's not just about tricks, it's about deepening that bond and making our lives better together.
Yeah, it really is amazing how much they can teach us when we actually pay attention.
It's true, and I think this whole idea of mindfulness in dog training can really help anyone, whether you're like a total pro or just starting out.
So before we go, let's recap the main points for our listeners who are ready to level up their recall game.
Okay, so first, gotta be aware of those poison cues. If come has started to mean something bad to your dog, it's time to switch things up.
That's where the touch technique comes in. A nice, clear action that lets our furry friends start fresh.
And don't forget, building that reliability takes time. Start somewhere easy with no distractions and make it harder bit by bit. And of course, give those high-value treats they love.
And when it comes to rewards, knowing what your dog loves is key. Figure out what really motivates them, whether it's a special treat, a favorite toy, or just some good old-fashioned cuddles.
And maybe the most important thing, be mindful in everything you do with your dog. Pay attention to their body language, those subtle hints they give you. And remember, training should be a positive experience for both of you.
So watch your dog closely. What little things might they not like? How can you change your training so it's always fun and rewarding?
Exactly. Because every time you train, every time you interact with your dog, it's a chance to build that bond.
And that's what makes all this so awesome. It's not just about teaching them to obey, it's about building a connection based on understanding each other, trusting each other, and of course, a whole lot of love.
Couldn't have said it better myself. So go out there, embrace the touch technique, and have fun with it. We know you'll see incredible results.
And remember, every training session is a chance to connect with your furry friend on a deeper level. Until next time, happy training.
Thank you for your watching. If you find this video is helpful to you, please share it with your family and friends. Leave us a like and subscribe to our channel. And turn on the bell, that way you don't miss every single one of our videos. So that's for today's video. See you next time.